Hi everybody, I'm Greg and welcome to Goodbye Gluten.
Saying goodbye to gluten does not mean saying goodbye to great food and great taste.
So please like this video, share it with friends, and subscribe to our channel.
So today it's getting near Thanksgiving, 2 weeks away. Oh my gosh, one of the great holidays of the year, I think. It's also great for giving thanks to everybody. One of the things I'm really thankful for is my lovely wife and my kids, and also to you, all the subscribers and viewers who are checking out this channel. So today I'm making something really awesome for the holidays. One of my favorite foods of all time, stuffing, or what other people would call dressing. So let's get to seeing what you're going to need to make this awesome side dish. So to start off with, you're going to need about a pound of dried bread cubes. These are all stale, gluten-free, as I said earlier in the video. How I make them, I just chopped them up and then I let them to stale. If you want, you could bake them. It takes less time, but also, it does change your flavor of the breading a hair bit. Okay, 1.5 or 2.5 cups of medium yellow onions, or white onions if you want, diced up, about 1.5 onion. Okay, 1.5 cups celery, about 2 stalks. I sliced them 3 ways down the line and then, chopped them into little bits. Okay. About 3 cups of chicken base or chicken stock. We use Orrington Farms from Walmart, and it's a lot more cost efficient for you to use that than going out and buying just a thing of chicken stock. You can make your own, which is pretty cool. My wife's going to be doing a video on that pretty soon. About 3 to 4 teaspoons to make that amount of chicken stock, which is pretty good. And also Orrington Farms is gluten free. Okay, here are some of our spices. We got 2 tablespoons or teaspoons rosemary and oregano and basil. We got half a teaspoon of garlic powder. You could omit it if you want. 1 teaspoon of fresh cracked black pepper. You can use normal ground. 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. 1 teaspoon of thyme. You're going to need 2 eggs. And then a 1/4 cup of fresh or dried parsley leaves, chopped up. I like using the dried because they're already chopped up. Okay, you're also going to need about 3/4 cup butter. I'm using Country Crock's plant butter. A lot of times I'll use just normal dairy butter. And it's about, 1 1/4 stick of butter. So let's go to what tools you'll need. You will also need some aluminum foil. So you're going to need either a saucepan or a saute pan to cook the onions and celery with. Okay, and then you're also going to need a 13 by 9 by 2 baking casserole dish. You're going to need yourself like a spoon and then a whisk for your egg mixture. Okay, so instead of buying a giant loaf of bread, okay, I save my bread heels in like 1 or 2 slices per loaf, right? Put them in the freezer, and this way, this will actually help the staling process. This makes the bread harder and stronger to make stuffing. Okay, so I'm gonna put this out there and show you what to do next. So this is my frozen bag. This will make plenty of stuffing. So I'm not gonna just dump it because I don't want all the ice crystals. The least amount of ice crystals, the better, because I don't want moisture coming back into the bread. Yeah, like these two had a lot of ice on them. This way, if you do it this way, where you're just using your heels and like 1 to 2 of the end pieces of your loaves, it's a lot more cost effective than actually walking out there and just buying a loaf of bread to utilize. Okay, look at all that ice. That would have went right back on there and made it kind of soggy. So now I'm going to let this thaw out. Sorry. I'm going to let this thaw out, and then I'm going to cut it up into little chunks, and then we're just going to let it sit out, and then for about a day or so, and that'll help the staling process. Okay, now, excuse me. Now the bread's basically thawed out. So what I'm going to do is cut these into small cubes, roughly about a 1/2 inch wide. Okay, so they're not that big. And what you're going to do is do this before they fully start getting hard, because then it's easier to cut them. Otherwise, they're a pain in the butt. Yes, I'm using a butcher knife instead of a bread knife because I don't want a lot of crumbs everywhere. And this actually minimizes how much crumbs you're going to have. Okay, so I got my bag. It's all the bread has been cut up, little pieces. Now I kind of like mix the breads around, you know, so you don't have like too much of one slice and others. Now, I probably won't be using this entire amount. So what I'm going to do is let it get stale, and then I'll go ahead and measure out the amount I need, put the rest in another Ziploc bag, put it in the freezer, and it's not that big of a deal because this will only just get staler in the freezer. So you'll be able to use it multiple different times if you want. So let's get to the other part of cooking. First things first, preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Okay, I'm basically going to turn this on to about a medium high. Take my butter. Put that in there, and when it's melted and starts simmering, I will add in the onions and celery. Okay, so now I'm going to add in my onions. Hands work better. Add my celery. And also add my parsley. This will give it a little bit of a chance to hydrate. Now you can use a saute pan to do this. Should only take about 3 to 4 minutes for this to start becoming brownish translucent. Okay, while your onions are cooking, your celery and parsley, we're going to go ahead and whisk our eggs together with about a cup of the liquid. Now you can do this after you sauteed all the onions and the celery together, because you're going to have to let the breading cool a little bit. But I'm just doing this ahead of time, making sure that it's all well and incorporated with each other. So I actually had it on medium, and I should have actually turned it up to medium high. That way it would have cooked a lot faster. So, but it still took me about 10 minutes, and it is now, the onions are browning a little bit. They're translucent, getting translucent. The celery is soft, which that's the main reason why you're cooking the celery like that, so it's softened up and you don't have hard, crunchy bits in your stuffing. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the stove off and remove it from the heat. Okay, so to start off, I took half of that stick of butter. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to melt this and then drizzle it on the top after it's all done. I'm just going to basically take this, about a tablespoon of it, to grease my sheet. Okay, now we're going to take our onions and celery mixture. Oh, it smells amazing in my kitchen. I literally think they should bring back smell-o-vision. Although one guy did say he invented a machine that can make any smell on the planet. How right he was, I don't know. So this is where we're basically going to take our spices. I'm going to try to spread them around. It just makes mixing it a lot easier. You don't get those clumps of spices everywhere. Okay. And we're going to add in our chicken stock. I tell you folks, the Orrington Farms chicken stock or soup base mix is so awesome. I mean, as soon as we tried it one time, we were literally hooked, especially on how inexpensive it is. And it is 100% gluten-free. Like you go to the grocery stores and you check out the chicken stocks in the little cans or the cartons, and they're expensive sometimes. You know, 1 can of Orrington's chicken base or beef base, it's, I mean, so cheap, it's crazy compared to how much you would spend with the normal. So we're going to mix this up really well. Make sure that it's all incorporated. And people like sometimes ask me, you know, like young bakers and cooks, why don't you use normal stuffing? Or like, why don't you just use normal bread instead of cooked bread or stale bread? Factor is once you actually start using normal bread, like without staling or cooking it, and you add in the heat and all that broth, it'll just turn into goo instantly. And then you're basically going to have this cooked dough ball almost. So the staling helps keep the bread rigid a little bit while it's in the cooking and mixing process, and then it'll, like, you know, soften up during the baking process. Like, I mean, I grew up on stovetop stuffing. You know, my mom would take the stovetop stuffing, cook it in the pot, right? And instead of just leaving it as is, like it says on the thing, she would actually bake it. And because where she grew up in Independence, Missouri, they added like gizzards and neck meat and stuff like that, and kidneys and all that sort of stuff. And we were like, as kids, we're like, no, we don't want that at all, because we tried it and it was kind of nasty, but some people like it. And so she would make 2 batches, one for her and the people who grew up loving that, and then the rest of us. So now I'm going to let this cool for about 20 minutes and then add in the rest of the mixture. So now our stuffing mix is cool. I mean, it's warm, but it's not hot. I'm going to add in our egg mixture and stir it up in there. Incorporate it to every section as much as possible. You want to coat all that bread with it. Now, some of the recipes I have seen online, like my grandma used to do, which was to add a tad bit of clove. Not much. And that gave it a nice flavoring too, so you can always try that. You don't have to add in the egg, but it's kind of like a binder. Okay. We got our pan here. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of pour it all in here. Oops. Some of it tried to escape. Go ahead and just kind of smear it across without squishing. You don't want to squish it down. I'm going to take our aluminum foil. Hold on 1 second. Got to open it first. Sorry about that little bit of mixture. I like the 18-inch wide version. Because as you see, this covers the pan entirely without actually having 2 to 3 sections worth. Go ahead and now, one thing I like to do is I put a little crease like that in my pan, or I'm sorry, in my foil, and I'm trying not to break it. But what this is going to do is any steam that might leak out the backside will actually pool and then go right back into the actual dish. To the oven for about 35 to 40 minutes. Okay, it's been about 40 minutes. Just going to basically take a look at this. Oh, that looks wonderful. So now I'm going to go ahead and put this back in the oven for about another 30 minutes. Oh yeah. Look at that. Perfect. Put it on your cooling rack. Let it cool for 10 minutes so it's not super, super hot. And right now I'm going to take melted butter. Just go ahead and lightly baste it on there. And yeah, most of it will probably just absorb right into that bread, which, I mean, bread and butter, I mean. It's smelling so good. It's looking so good. My brain's like, just eat it right now. But my common sense side of my brain saying, you bite into it right now, you're burning your tongue. So we're going to let this sit and cool for about 10 minutes. Okay, it is cooled off about, been 10 minutes, cool enough to eat. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab a small bite. Oh, this is making me so happy. Even just smelling it, it just brings back the whole memory of, hanging out with my family when I was younger. My mom making the or the stuffing, and just I would like to say this is a private moment, but you guys are watching me. The parsley, all the spices just work really good. The onion and the celery are soft and creamy. The bread is creamy. That is really good stuffing. Now basically what I'm going to do with this, since I'm the only one who eats stuffing in my house, my kids don't eat it, my wife doesn't eat it. I try to get my kids to eat it, but they have their mother's tongue, so they like mashed potatoes over stuffing any day. So I'm just going to section this off, put them into baggies, go ahead and put them in the freezer. That way I can pull them out any day I want, nuke them, have stuffing with dinner or for breakfast. Or for lunches, or I might just eat this whole thing tonight. No, I'm not going to do that. It's kind of like an addiction a little bit, but I'm not going to do it because, well, part of my brain just said, you can do it! But I'm not going to. I want to thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you learned a lot watching me make this nice stuffing or dressing. I hope you will try this recipe out, and hopefully your family are going to love it, because I know I love it. And you can always send an invitation to me for dinner, and I will come over to your house and eat it. So this is Greg signing off from Goodbye Gluten, and remember what we always say here: saying goodbye to great food edit. So this is Greg signing off from Goodbye Gluten, and remember what we always say here: saying goodbye to gluten does not mean saying goodbye to great food and great taste. Have a great day.